Hi, everyone. I'm Zev Lowe. I'm the Executive Director of the Chronicle Season of Sharing Fund, and I'm here with Paul Ash, who's the Executive Director of the San Francisco Marin Food Bank. Hi, Paul.
Hi, Zev.
So, Paul, tell me about how the work of the San Francisco Marin Food Bank has changed or has had to change and adapt during this pandemic.
Well, the changes have been huge and very, very fast. Literally 2 weeks ago, we lost about 100 pantries, 45 school sites, and a lot of sites that low-income seniors were participating in just stopped right there. We've been able to bring back online some of those sites with a clearer understanding that it's okay for seniors to go out and attend an essential food distribution. And we've also done some things with the schools through the school lunch provision that have gotten us back into working with the student families of the school district. And then we've also just said, community, we need space, we need help, and standing up these general pantries, because the dislocation from that loss of pantries meant that we just needed to have some places people could go when they found out online that they were open. And so we've opened up a lot of new pop-up pantries.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Paul. It's always great talking to you. Thank you so much for all your wisdom today and for imparting hope to all of us.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Paul, I know one of the big questions that was on everybody's minds, especially as the schools closed, was how are we going to make sure that kids who get free and reduced lunch continue to be able to eat?
Well, that was certainly a big question. And fortunately, in the announcement that closed the schools, our governor answered that question by saying, or actually by ordering school districts to provide those lunches anyway. And so different districts have taken different approaches. We thought of it a little differently because we don't provide those school lunches, but what we do is we have 45 schools where we have pantries at the school. So when a parent is dropping off or picking up their kids, they could go to the pantry, farmer's market style, pick out the food they need. That just disappeared in an hour. So those weekly pantries were no longer available for people. We quickly jumped on to the idea that kids would be able to come and pick up school meals and take them back home with them by setting up pantries at each of those sites here in San Francisco. So our sites went from 45 to 18. So that's a big reduction, which means to get to the same place, you've got to serve more people at each site. It's not, of course, a one-to-one trade because there may not be a pantry near the pantry at the school you were going to worked fine, but the one across town where they're passing out lunches may not work fine. So there's been a lot of disruption, and we're still getting a lot of food out to people, but it's not exactly the same people. And here at the end of week 2, we're sort of finally feeling like we've settled out a lot of that disruption by adding new pantries.
Paul, beyond donating, what can individuals do if they're reading this and if they're listening to this and they want to help?
Well, we hope people can consider volunteering. Certain age groups, I'm almost in that age group, are advised to keep a little more distance and maybe not do those sorts of things. But we hope that those who can, consider it. We need to raise money for this because our source of produce is really strong, and we think that's going to continue to be really strong. And it's heavily subsidized by the farmers who donate much of that produce. But the packaged food and the protein items, the chicken, the eggs, the rice and the beans, we have a good supply right now, but they will dwindle, especially at the rate that we're standing up new pantries. And so we're probably going to be pushed over into the purchase food category instead of trying to work hard and try to get some of it donated. And that's going to be expensive. Food drives are not working well for us right now. And the reason is we've had to cut back the number of volunteers that come into our facility. So used to we'd take 70, 80, 90 people, and they'd be working shoulder to shoulder, working on projects. Shoulder to shoulder is not okay anymore. So we've got to have that space. So we can only bring in smaller groups. So processing food that comes from a food drive and sorting it and cleaning it, we can't do that right now. So the food drive option is off the table. But also, given that some people really, maybe they've already made a gift or can't make a gift this week, and they can't volunteer, send them good thoughts. You know, think of other people to the degree that you do go out in public to do something essential. You know, really take good thoughts with you and treat people well and with respect and courtesy, and give them some leeway, because everyone's in a lot of stress right now.
Mhm. And social distancing is really hard. It's harder on some than it is on others. That's why we're raising money right now to help people for whom work at home means no work. But in the midst of all of this, I think there is a sense of togetherness because we're all in this together. We're all gonna do what we can so that we can flatten the curve and all get through this. So thank you very much, Paul, for talking about that. In the 34 years that Chronicle Season of Sharing Fund and San Francisco Marin Food Bank have worked together, what do you think makes this partnership different?
Well, this is kind of a good example. Season of sharing is about, usually the holiday season. And guess what? It's not the holiday season, but you guys have jumped in and realizing that you have a connection to donors, you have a connection to people, and an important voice in the community. You're pitching in at a different time of year. So I think it's sort of that willingness to get involved, to show leadership, and to reach out to the community that makes the Season of Sharing Fund and the partnership with providers, so important and strong.
To help our neighbors in need, you can donate today. Click here. Thank you so much for your support.